Thank you for downloading this in-ear entertainment podcast. You're listening to Shakespeare's Sonnets. Sonnet number 11. As fast as thou shalt wane, so fast thou growest in one of thine, from that which thou departest, and that fresh blood which youngly thou bestowest, thou mayst call thine when thou from youth convertest. Herein lies wisdom, beauty, and increase. Without this, folly, age, and cold decay, if all were minded so, the time should cease, and threescore year would make the world away. Let those whom nature hath not made for store, harsh, featureless, and rude, barrenly perish. Look, whom she best endowed, she gave thee more, which beauteous gift thou shouldst in beauty cherish. She carved thee for her seal, and meant thereby thou shouldst print more, not let that copy die. That was roughly sonnet number 11 by William Shakespeare. I'm Mark Chatterley, and I'm joined again by my great friend, and I'm going to let him do his own intro. In fact,
surprise! I'm here again, Mark. I'm here again. My name's Thierry Heles.
I haven't scared him off yet. And there was sonnet 11. We're still firmly in the middle of the procreation sonnets, and this one seems to have a nice kind of view around nature and printing. Seems to be the two main themes of this sonnet. Do you agree with that?
Well, we had so we were just talking before we started recording about the printing. I did just look it up, and apparently the first newspaper, sort of handwritten one, they had in Venice, that was published in 1556.
Okay.
And then the one that we, from today's point of view, historically, we consider the first actual printed newspaper was published in 1605.
Okay.
So that would have definitely been around by Shakespeare's time.
We were having a chat before we recorded this about printing, and obviously the Gutenberg press had started and been around for a while, but we were having a discussion about how prevalent printed material would have been in Shakespearean times, and I guess that proves that printed material would be quite commonplace, or if not in everybody's reach, it would have been known to everyone.
Well, it has been, as we said, it has been around for roughly 200 years. Gutenberg did it in, I've forgotten again now, 1439. 1439.
Yes.
And apparently the first one was a German newspaper.
Excellent. Good.
Published in France for some reason.
A German paper published in France.
Yeah. Which, I don't know, Strasbourg might have been German at the time, because obviously borders shift and
yes, but the printing comes in at the end. It's talking about nature as an entity. Look, whom she endowed, she gave thee more, which bounteous gift thou shouldst in bounty cherish. She carved thee for her seal, and meant thereby thou shouldst print more, not let that copy die. So it's talking about copies again, and it's talking about making a copy of yourself. So again, we're back to this idea that the child that you have is you. It's you reborn. It's not a new person. And I still find this a really interesting concept that I don't know if it was Shakespeare taking a lot of liberties with what people believed, or whether it was what people actually believed, but the idea that your child is you reborn is very interesting to me, because they're obviously not you. Are they not? Or am I being naive? I haven't been around that many small kids, but they don't seem to be little copies of their parents.
It is an idea that pops up in Shakespeare again, though, because in All's Well That Ends Well, he does the same thing. You have the king who says, such a man might be a copy to these younger times, which followed well would demonstrate them now, but goes onwards. So that is an image that Shakespeare uses quite often, just having a copy of the father, the children being the copy of the father.
So maybe it's a Shakespeare thing rather than a society in Shakespearean times ideal.
It certainly looks that way, obviously, as we've established. We're now historians.
Yes, we know exactly what we're talking about. I do think I will eventually get around to, and if any listeners know anyone connected with the world of Shakespeare, do get people in contact with us, because I'd love to have guests on this who can tell us how wrong we are. Essentially, that would be great. I'm quite happy to have conversations with
Start
them.
crying at all the stupid things we say.
Going, no, that's not a euphemism for masturbation. Where on earth are you getting that from? And then we can be
You
exposed.
two just shut up for 15 minutes and let me talk.
Yeah, it'd be good. I think it'd be good for the show. Anyway, sorry, back to Sonnet 11. So the nature part of it is nature is an entity, a person, a female who controls nature, which is quite an established idea in poetry, in literature, in historical myths and stuff. I guess it's calling upon that idea of nature being a person.
Well, you have the whole Gaia theory, Mother Earth nourishing the. Well, I'm not quite sure when that first. Oh, Gaia is quite old Greek, so that Shakespeare would have known about that.
Yes, yeah, because a lot of his stuff is Greek derivative.
Yeah.
We're talking again about his life is folly, and as he gets older, he's wasting it, and I think that's coming into it. And we got the reference again to threescore year would make the world away. So the idea that 30 is a very old age to be in this time, and if you haven't got kids by 30, you're doing something very wrong, which is definitely different to modern day thinking.
Well, I mean, as we said before, age expectations were fairly low from today's point of view.
Yes.
I mean, if you 40, you were basically that was your deathbed. You were just done. I mean, there were obviously always the odd case where people turned 70 or 80, but
they were probably very, very rich and very, very lucky.
Well, yeah, you have even like in ancient Egypt, you had some pharaohs that turned like 80, and you just they were pampered life and bathed in milk and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so they didn't stress.
30 is pretty much the decline. Even, I mean, I can't remember. Is it 20 from 25 onwards? As a male, you're pretty much. I mean, it's downhill biologically from there.
Thanks. This is a comforting conversation for me.
Well, I'm over 25 as well, so.
Yeah, I well, at least in terms of sexual terms, 25 for a male is peak, I believe. So, yeah, we don't know who these are being addressed to, but they're definitely being addressed to someone who's young. They're nowhere near 30. I would imagine they're in their early
13.
teens. Yeah, which again makes it creepy.
Yeah, again, creepy from today's point of view. But at the time, you did get married when you were. I mean, they had girls married when they were 9.
Yeah.
Which I mean, there's no arguing that that's wrong. But it was just a cultural, sociological reality that Shakespeare lived in.
Yeah, I mean you have the EDL in this country, the English Defence League, for our if anyone's listening from another country, are our very right-wing nationalist party that no one votes for, thankfully. But they keep going on about Islam coming in and destroying our country, and one of their big selling points is that the Prophet Muhammad was a paedophile because he married a 12-year-old, completely ignoring the fact that at that point in history that was fairly normal. I think
I'm pretty sure there were British kings and princes that married younger girls.
So from today's point of view, that's wrong with a capital W. It's not something you do. But I mean, you have to judge these things in the time when they were around. So yes, Shakespeare is essentially telling a very early teen to go out and have sex and have children, but that's absolutely fine. It's just a little bit creepy.
Oh, there should be a video, but just your face right there is that it's absolutely fine was priceless.
So yes, what other things can you draw from this? I'm going to hand this over to you because I've written on enough.
I mean, I quite like the herein lives wisdom, beauty, and increase. Without this folly, age, and old cold decay. I quite like the opposition of you are wise and beautiful and all that stuff now, but the decay is almost part of you already. It's happening. Every moment that you waste, it's only going to get worse. You have no time to waste.
Yes. Yes, harsh, featureless, and rude, barrenly perish. Yeah, you are perishing. You are dying. Everything's running out.
Definitely what you want to hear when you were a teen, a
Yeah.
young teen.
Because we get told a lot, the modern prevailing thinking is that teenagers think they're immortal. And then here's Shakespeare coming in going, nope, everything's dying, you're going to die, you're getting uglier by the second, go out and have sex. He's not what you want teaching kids in the
Well,
moment.
I guess it is today. It's quite normal that teenagers consider themselves, well, maybe not consciously, but act like they were immortal, just because there is still so much life after they're 19, 20. You can. I don't know what the life expectancy is exactly, but you can still live for 6 decades. Some live more, some live over 100 years old. So
Yeah. From
being 15 isn't.
is nothing. It's so
Yeah.
young. God, these young people. But yeah, in this point, it would have been scary old, or getting half your life. 15 might have been, and that's a scary,
Pretty much, yeah. Half your life is done.
and that's a scary thought. I don't like that thought. Let's ignore that.
Start losing your teeth, and obviously health was worse at the time, and that didn't really help. That people did lose their teeth and became weak, and quite a lot of sickness and no hygiene. And actually, did they have? What was the hygiene like in Shakespeare's time?
I don't think it would have been brilliant by today's standard. They would have been stinky, I think, was probably the technical term.
Good, because there's quite a tangent. When did they invent soap?
I think they would have had soap of some sort. It would have been lye, wouldn't it? This is where Thierry rapidly Googles, and I try desperately to fill dead air. There are no. I'm quite upset.
There's quite. I'm just putting it into Wikipedia. There's a lot of different, completely unrelated articles about soap.
Excellent.
There we have.
I was quite upset with this sonnet that there are no. I don't think any nice turns of phrase in this. There's nothing that really jumps out at me as being particularly nice in terms of poetry. It's got the references to nature and the very, very nice, I think, reference to the printing press. But there's the use of language, I think, is lacking compared to some of the other sonnets we've seen. At least in
it's definitely no have traffic with thy own self in this one.
Yes, we really need to
with
go back
thyself alone.
What have you found out about soap?
It doesn't say. Weirdly enough, there's no article about actual hand soap on Wikipedia. I don't know why. Apparently there's a programming language called SOAP.
Okay, didn't know
that. I've learned that much today. Simple Object Access Protocol.
Okay.
And yeah, there's medical charts. There's a short oligonucleotide analyte. I'm not even going to say that. A bioinformatics package used for the assembly and analysis of DNA sequences.
Excellent.
But no soap.
No soap. Well, we're going to presume they were fairly dirty people. They lived in houses, and it wasn't communal living then as well. It was separate houses for families. So I don't think it was atrocious. I just don't think it was particularly great.
I mean, from what I've seen of the bits that are still standing, and I mean, obviously you can go see Shakespeare's houses and that sort of stuff. It didn't look like they still had animals in there and that sort of to warm the place, and they had actual beds. Yeah. Obviously, because that's the sleep tight saying comes from Shakespeare's time and that sort of.
It does tighten the bed strings up before you go to bed.
Yeah.
And yes, if I mean we're on Sonnet 11, but if anyone does get the chance to go to Stratford, it's a wonderful place to walk around and you can see it's a very, very historical place.
Especially now, I love Stratford in the winter. It's really, really nice.
It's lovely. You've got the river running through it, and you can sit on the bank and watch people who don't know how to row attempt to row backwards. It's so funny.
And they've actually, now that the bit around the theatre is done and that building is all up, it's actually a really, really improved part of the place now.
Yeah, I agree. I went there this year. It was lovely. I'm going to hand over to you so you can read the sonnets.
God.
At least it doesn't have that word you just tried to pronounce from Wikipedia on it. So
I'm not good with biological terms. Right, Sonnet 11. As fast as thou shalt wane, so fast thou growest in one of thine from that which thou departest, and that fresh blood which youngly thou bestowest, thou mayst call thine when thou from youth convertest. Herein lives wisdom, beauty, and increase, without this folly, age, and cold decay. If all were minded so, the times could cease, and threescore year would make the world away. Let those whom nature hath not made for store, harsh, featureless, and rude, barrenly perish. Look whom she best endowed, she gave the more, which bounteous gifts thou shouldst in bounty cherish. She carved thee for her seal, and meant thereby thou shouldst print more, not let that copy die.
Excellent. I have to say, you reading that, there's a meter that came through that I hadn't noticed, and yeah, you're very good, very well read.
All of Shakespeare's poems have, what's the term now? We're getting academic, but they all have a very the certain meter.
Iambic pentameter.
That's the one. That's the one.
Which is the 10-syllable as it goes through.
Exactly.
But sometimes it falls out of that, and you can get very academic studying where he goes into it and where he drops out of it, and reasons why, which I find fascinating, but not from a me analysing it point of view, from reading the analytics.
It's definitely a very interesting part of his poetry, but
not for now.
It's not for this podcast. I don't. It would. Yeah.
Unless people.
I like rambling on here.
Yeah, exactly. Unless people need how to go to sleep or going to sleep with Shakespeare sonnets, we don't need to look at that. Anyway,
if you want academic analysis, there's more than enough of that out there.
Exactly. This is for his masturbation analogies and us basically trying to work the word sex into as much of this as we can.
Doing quite well.
We are very well. Excellent. That was sonnet number 11 from Shakespeare's Sonnets. I've been Mark Chatterley.
And I have been Thierry Heles.
And we will see you again next time for sonnet number 12.
Goodbye.
See you later. Bye. You've been listening to Shakespeare Sonnets with Mark Chatterley and Thierry Heles. This has been an In-Ear Entertainment podcast. To listen to other podcasts or find out more about In-Ear Entertainment, go to www.inearentertainment.com.